Someone Like You, a love story in 6 parts, inspired by the song of the same name by Adele. Chapter 1. Whispered Secrets in the Summer Haze. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the picturesque coastal town of St. Austell was drenched in a warm, golden hue. The lingering heat of the day mingled with the cool breeze rolling in from the nearby sea, creating a mesmerizing summer haze that blanketed the quaint cobblestone streets and the charming houses that lined them. In the heart of the town, nestled between centuries-old stone buildings, was a small cafe named Rosemary's. Adorned with flowering vines and luscious climbing roses, its outdoor tables offered a haven for locals and tourists alike. The scent of blooming flowers mingled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, creating a comforting, familiar atmosphere. Seated at one of the tables was Emily Ravenscroft, a woman of undeniable beauty, her hazel eyes reflecting an intriguing blend of strength and vulnerability. Her heart pounded in her chest, the rhythm in sync with the seconds ticking away on the antique clock mounted on the cafe's stone wall. She was waiting, her eyes scanning the faces of the passing crowd for one that was all too familiar. Emily's mind wandered back to the days of her youth, to the passionate, albeit tumultuous, love affair she had shared with Charles Ashton. It was in this same town that they had spent their formative years, their lives entwined in a story that was as captivating as it was heartbreaking. A sudden burst of laughter from a nearby table made Emily's heart skip a beat. It was a sound that was all too familiar, a sound that had once filled her with immense joy and contentment. But now, it served as a stark reminder of her loss, of the dreams she'd left behind. With a trembling hand, she reached for her cup of tea, her gaze still locked on the crowd. Charles was supposed to be here. Word around town was that he frequented this cafe, that he had settled down and found happiness. Emily's heart ached at the thought. Charles, her Charles, was now someone else's. The wind suddenly picked up, rustling the leaves of the rose bushes that framed the cafe's outdoor area. The scent of roses, now intertwined with the salty sea air, was a cruel reminder of their first encounter. It was during St. Austell's annual Rose Festival when Charles, a dashing young man with twinkling blue eyes, had handed her a rose, a symbol of the blossoming love between them. Emily closed her eyes, lost in her memories. She remembered the stolen kisses, the shared secrets, and the dreams of a future together. Charles was not just her lover, but her best friend, her confidant. She yearned for those days, for the comfort of his embrace, for the sound of his laughter. Her train of thought was interrupted by the sound of the cafe door creaking open. Emily's breath hitched as she watched a tall figure make his way towards the counter. It was him. Charles Ashton, now a matured version of the boy she once knew, was here. He was just as she remembered him, yet different in a way that only time could explain. His hair was a little shorter, his shoulders a little broader, but his smile, oh his smile, it was just as captivating as it had always been. As their eyes met across the cafe, Emily saw a flicker of recognition in his gaze, a silent acknowledgement of their shared past. She took a deep breath, bracing herself for the encounter that was about to unfold. The whispered secrets of their past were about to resurface, threatening to disrupt the calm facade of their present lives. And Emily knew the journey to finding closure was going to be as enthralling as it was heartbreaking, but it was a journey she was willing to embark on, for she hoped someday she would find her someone like you. Emily watched as Charles collected his coffee from the counter and turned to survey the room. As his gaze landed on her, A moment of recognition flashed in his eyes. The room seemed to grow quieter, the surrounding chatter fading into a dull hum. "Emily?" Charles's voice broke the silence, his tone uncertain yet laced with a familiar warmth that tugged at her heartstrings. His strides were long but hesitant as he crossed the room to stand before her. "Charles?" Emily greeted, her voice steady despite the tumult of emotions churning within her. She gestured to the empty chair across from her. "Would you like to join me?" With a curt nod, Charles took a seat, setting his coffee on the table. There was a brief silence as they both took in the reality of their unexpected reunion. The years had changed them, and yet sitting across from each other, they were again the young lovers they had once been, their shared past hanging heavy in the air between them. Emily took a moment to study Charles. His eyes still held the same depth of blue she remembered, but there was a maturity to him now. His features, once boyish, were now defined and sharp, hinting at the man he had become. The conversation began haltingly, with an exchange of pleasantries and small talk. They spoke about their lives, the years that had passed and the changes that had come with them. Charles spoke about his wife and the life they had built together, while Emily shared stories of her travels and the freedom she had found in her independence. Yet, beneath the surface of their casual conversation, there was an undercurrent of unspoken words and unresolved feelings. The ghost of their past relationship lingered, casting a shadow over their exchange. As the day turned into evening and the cafe began to empty, Emily and Charles found themselves engrossed in their conversation. The summer haze that had settled over St. Austell began to lift, giving way to a clear, starlit night. Underneath the stars, their whispered secrets began to unravel, the memories of their past coming back to life. The summer haze might have faded, but their story was just beginning to unfold. Emily knew then, as she gazed into Charles's eyes, that she was stepping into a journey that would change her life forever. The first chapter of their story had come to a close, but the pages of their past were far from finished. As the final patrons began to leave the cafe, Emily and Charles continued their conversation, the glow from the cafe lights casting long shadows around them. The weight of their past hung in the air, a testament to their shared history. But it was a weight Emily was willing to bear for the chance to find her someone like you.
Someone Like You is comprised of 6 chapters. To watch or listen to all 6 chapters, why not subscribe to the Romance Diaries? Or if you want to experience your own real-life romance, why not visit one of our sponsors by clicking on a link in the description. The next chapter is Chapter 2, The Uninvited Memories.